Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Titan Talk. Hope everyone is having a good Friday so far. I'm Isaiah Kilgoon with me as usual, and today we're going to be talking about Open Beta 11. It's launching on Monday. We've got patch notes that are live on the website, but before we get into that, I know Kilgoon did briefly want to talk about just some Titan Forge updates.
Most of the people watching this show are the sort of hardcore that already know this news, but I feel compelled to say a little something because it did unfortunately leak out last night. But unfortunately, there were some senior management level layoffs that occurred last Thursday, so a week ago yesterday, that involved, I believe, five kind of like senior management level people across Hi-Rez. As a result of that, Stu is transitioning away from Hi-Rez. He was the president, so he is still kind of helping out in the background for a little bit and helping transition some things away. Both Travis and Radar from the Hi-Rez team, unfortunately, were affected, and two people on the Rally Here side who were never very public, so I'm not going to say their names. The only reason I'm saying the other people's names is because they were known in the community, and their names specifically leaked out. I specifically made the call not to make a big statement about this or to put anything out initially because just kind of it only affected a small number of people, and I felt like, kind of out of respect for them, and if they wanted to say something on their own, they could. And maybe not the right call. It was probably going to leak out eventually anyway, but I just felt like, it's kind of a little bit different from the other times where we had bigger rounds of layoffs where it was like, we got to say something. There's a lot of people that are leaving. This was a little bit smaller, and, it just felt different, and I didn't feel comfortable making a statement initially. And I'd still rather not be talking about it if I could. It's nothing against the people that were laid off. They're, amazing people.
Yeah.
Travis has kind of been the heart and soul of SMITE 2. Radar has led a lot of the community and publishing stuff that we've done over the past, I don't know, 5-6 years probably. He started like a day before COVID or something. Great people. The decision that was made kind of at the board level was basically we just had a lot of senior management employees for the size of the company, right? We were still kind of senior management staffed as though we were, Hi-Rez was like 450 at its largest when we were working on a lot of games simultaneously. And we're not that big anymore. And I think their feelings was just that there were too many people in senior management roles for the number of, non-management employees that we had. And I can understand that train of thought. I will be, as a result of this, I will be taking over as the person in charge of Titan Forge. Previously, Travis and I kind of tag teamed that. Travis was the more senior person who oversaw parts of the game, and I oversaw some other parts. But now I will be kind of taking the reins. I'm also going to be taking on some of the things that Stu was doing, but some of those will kind of get divvied out to some other people as well. Initially I didn't really want to make a big statement about this because I don't want people to be like celebrating me in a time like this, because I know that because people watch this show, they may feel like, oh yay, I can, but a lot of people behind the scenes work really hard on this game, and just because you don't know them as well doesn't mean that they aren't great people who deserve the same level of respect. And also I just was hesitant to say anything about this in the first place, right? I will say, and sorry, somebody in chat's like, as we were all celebrating him. That's not. I'm not trying to rain on your parade, but I just that's kind of why I'm explaining my motivations. I sorry, this is a little more I'm always meandering, but this is a little bit more than usual, just because it's a harder topic to cover. I do kind of want to reassure everybody watching that this only did affect those kind of senior management level employees, which is a hit. Don't get me wrong, but nobody else on the Titan Forge side has been affected, and our goals are largely the same as they were before this occurred. We kind of have we pretty much believe that there are a handful of areas that we really need to focus on to continue the game getting better and better. And we have seen the numbers in the background, which I can't really talk about, and I don't really want to talk about regardless, getting better and better over the past several months. And we do think that the game is starting to be in a pretty good place for the core player base, which allows us to go do some of the more things that we need to do to help the game grow and be more welcoming to new players and address some of the kind of more growth-oriented things that we couldn't think about because we were just still trying to make the game fun, right? So things that we are focused on here, we want to make sure that we continue the pipeline of new content. We're still planning to patch every 2 weeks. We're still planning to release a new god every 2 weeks. We're still planning to drop aspects and new items where it makes sense and balance and, all of the kind of core gameplay, game content updates that you expect as core players. We also want to spend a little bit more of our time starting to focus on, we've talked about this over the past, but it's been hard to prioritize because we've had so much to do for core players, but we want to spend more time focusing on new player experience. Particularly, we think things that make a difference that you will notice either consciously or subconsciously in your first hour of playing SMITE 2, are worth prioritizing above things that you maybe won't notice until you've played the game for 100 hours, right? Because that's where we have the biggest potential area to grow, right? By doing better to retain new players and show them the fun that SMITE can be. I would say that playing against bots right now is not showing you the fun that SMITE can be. I'm trying not to read chat, but I saw somebody say tutorial could be better. Yeah, tutorial could be better. I think there's also just a lot of little modern gaming conveniences that we are missing that makes a game feel either less overwhelming or easier to understand what's happening. So as an example of 2 UI features that aren't in this next update that goes live on Monday, but are hopefully will be done in the update after that, and we are working on right now. One of them is what we call number summing. So if I'm getting hit by Anubis breath, I'm getting like 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, right? Yeah. And instead, it'll be like 30, 60, 90, 120, the number will keep getting bigger from the same sources of damage and be easier to read what is happening to you because, this one ability is doing a lot of damage to me. It reduces the clutter on the screen, so it's easier to know what the hell you're supposed to be looking at. And, even for things like Broggy's Harp, right? Broggy's Harp damage would sum now, right? So you could see this is what's allowing them to backdoor so well or whatever, right? Things like that, I think will help make the game easier to read and play, right? The other kind of UI, we have a lot of stuff in the pipeline, but the other thing that I feel comfortable enough talking about because it's close-ish, maybe it won't be in this next update, but maybe the one after it, right? Is what in our notes we're calling directional damage indicators, and that's basically in most modern games, when somebody is hurting you, there's a red arrow pointing at that person. Hey, this is the person that is actively hurting you right now. And that's a I think, a really useful thing to be able to read combat that can be hectic with a lot of things going on. It's like, look at this guy. This is the guy that's killing you, right? And so that's another thing that we are working on right now. And again, the first version of both of these that we ship may not be 100% perfect, right? But this is the kind of thing that we are going to be prioritizing to see if we can improve the core gameplay experience and give you more of an initial, what am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? Where's the fun in this, versus either just like, I stomp everybody, or, I stomp these easy bots and I don't understand why this game is fun because they aren't playing like humans, or I get stomped and I don't understand why I died. Yeah. Right. So this is just a couple examples of the kind of things that we're focusing on in terms of like the kinds of features that we're going to be prioritizing. I talked about gods. I talked about things that improve the initial player experience. I talked about bots. That's kind of the majority of our focus right now, is if we believe that if we nail these things, we continue to improve the new player experience and continue making, adding more to the game with more gods and more things to do, that we will end up in a good place. And we think that there's a lot of growth possible. I think that's most of what I was going to say to kick the show off. Is there anything else that you can think of, Isaiah, that I should say or that I didn't touch on that are common questions that, like, I do want to take Q&A kind of more at the end of the show. Yeah. I would like to go through patch notes, like, kind of planned, and then happy to answer any questions y'all have, as to the best of my ability. This is all relatively new, obviously, and we're still adapting, and I can't tell you 100% how things are going to be today. But we're working through it, and I think we have a good plan to keep the game moving forward and working on the things that matter most.
Yeah. So, and you also made a comment on Reddit last night, for the folks who may be joining us late and want to read through that if you missed the explanation.
Yeah, I replied. There was a thread that I replied to. Yeah. So it's I think the thread was called like leadership shakeup at Hi-Rez ? Or something like that. That I just kind of piggyback on to make a little reply. Yeah. But yeah, again, I'm not trying to make a huge deal out of this. I've probably already spent more time talking about it than I really want to. But I think it's important stuff to say, and kind of do my best to reassure folks that, like, it's tough, but we're still working on making the game better, and we have a strong plan to focus on the things that we think will make the game better as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Well, we definitely appreciate you taking the time to walk us through that. I will pull up our OB11 patch notes on the website, and we can scroll through these. For anyone that missed our Wednesday show, Open Beta 11 Spellbound Realms will launch on Monday. It has got a new ported god in Scylla. She's going to be, of course, iconic Scylla from SMITE 1 that you know and love, with a few +1s, range basics, magical damage, int scaling. I think the big thing is that her mana regen from her 1 or 3, I forget.
It was on the 3
from the 3 has been moved to the passive, but then each one of her abilities still has that individual thing once you get it to max rank. So the 1 at max rank, you're going to be hitting 2 enemies.
And that is the SMITE 1 parody on that one. The other 2 are newer, I believe.
Yeah, the Crush, which is a bigger +1, at max rank, enemies in the area have their magical protection reduced, and the Crush field will persist even if you detonate it early, which is a big one. You can kind of use it as more of a zoning tool, as well as a damage tool. And
previously, that magic protection shred stayed on gods that she had crushed. So now it stays in an area. So there's a little bit more counterplay to it of get out of the circle, but also there's it's just a different interaction that's kind of fun in our experience.
The 3 at max rank, hitting an enemy god with an empowered basic attack, or after you teleport, your next basic attack will be empowered, which is like a mini polyproc that's built into the kit, which is super exciting.
Yep.
And you can use that for if you're using the 3 to engage instead of an escape. You get a little bit of extra burst damage on your next basic attack.
And if you also build a poly and you build a Hi-Rez, then
you get double, And then lastly, the ultimate I'm a Monster. The big +1 on this is that every time you hit an enemy with I'm a Monster, you get a stack. And then when I'm a Monster is at max rank, each stack is going to provide you bonus damage to the ability. And those stacks are infinite for the time being. So
infinite damage.
if you're hitting your Iron monsters consistently, hitting multiple targets, you're going to be doing a lot of damage come late game.
Yep. And I know that Clumsy was looking at the exact numbers on that after the last Titan Talk that we had. So I'm not sure exactly what the numbers are on how it scales, but that is a fun mechanic that you can just potentially deal infinite damage.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. We have also got a brand new Wandering Market collection
this
this update. It's really awesome. I know when we showed it off on Wednesday, people were really excited. It's more of like a fantasy theme with some hints of tabletop RPG vibes going on with like some of the cosmetics, like the Game Master title and the dice roll jump effects. The Hunbats card art still being worked on.
I thought it was done last night.
No,
Is it not done?
I was talking with Emma. It's still being worked on. I was about to include it in patch notes, and she was like, "Wait, don't do it yet. It's not done." So
Saman tries to do too much. Like he's like, I need to do all of this stuff. And I'm like, dude, Saman. But no, I appreciate the hard work he puts in.
But of course, with all Wandering Market collections, the first page is going to be free for all players. You can get that Arcane Ape Hunbat skin, as well as a lot of other stuff.
A free announcer pack, which is kind of cool. There's also, I don't know if it's on the patch notes, but there are 32 new announcer packs.
Yes, 32 new announcer
added
packs
to the announcer pack chest.
So lots of new ways to customize your announcer. Page 2 features this Magic Mischief Merlin skin, as well as some other cosmetics.
Fun fact on that one. That skin was almost named something else.
Yeah.
It was almost named
Mystic Mischief.
Mystic Mischief. Yeah. And then at the last minute we were like, oh wait, that's the name of the
that
Mystic
Athena skin line.
Athena skin line. So we had to change it like 2 days before branch.
Princess Bari is getting her first skin in the update with Shattered Vision. Princess Bari in this Wandering Market collection.
Very fun. I was stomped by a person playing it in playtest this morning, so that was great.
And then last but not least, my favorite skin of the patch, Sir Crocus Bacchus is going to be on page 4. He's got a really sweet VXG where he hops around like a little frog. He's got a custom back animation. And that little goose on his back, playfully named Sir Honkalot, will be chiming in as you fire abilities and stuff like that. It's super fun.
And our animation and tech art team have put in a little fun Easter egg for when you we'll see if it actually gets finished, but the first time you launch the game with the new patch, there maybe will be a little fun animation.
Oh, so that's fun. That's awesome. Sweet. Moving on to other new skins and cosmetics. We've got a classic skin in Soul Piercer Achilles. He will also have some prisms, as well as the Mystic Mischief Merlin skin. He is going to have some prisms as well. And then we've got Wraith Rider. I always get my tongue twisted.
It is when I say
that skin name. But he is going to be a cross-gen skin. And then we've got a Father's Day event in this update as well. That should be live with the patch. So if you play some games with, what is it, Norse or Greek gods,
I believe it's
the
10 games
number one dad mug badge.
Yeah, so. Which I will be rocking for the rest of my career as a SMITE player, probably.
Underneath gameplay, we've got 2 aspects. Scylla does not have an aspect in this update.
We did not update the Mystic Mischief name here. It's...
there we go.
Yeah, so
I knew I missed it one place.
No, we're good. We're good. Yeah, see, I told you we were going to change.
Right,
we had to change the name last minute. So,
sweet. Under gameplay, we've got 2 aspects. Pele going to be releasing the Friday after the update on June 6th. Aspect of Obsidian. Kilgoon swears by this aspect being really good.
It is good. It's hard to maybe it's a little bit hard to figure out or something, but I don't know. It's done well in our internal playtest. We've gotten some feedback from PTS that maybe it's a little bit underwhelming, but I don't know. Maybe it's always hard to tell balance from our playtests, but it's felt good in our playtest is all I can say.
Yeah, so the big one here is that you're only going to gain fuel from hitting enemies with Pyroclast. You can't refire the 3, but it's going to heal you now, and then your passive is going to give you protections, but your ultimate is going to lose some strength scaling. So leaning a little bit more to the solo lane a little bit.
Yeah, I think that that people who feel like the healing is underwhelming, I think the thing that makes this feel strong to me in playtests is more that it like the extra protections that you get from Everlasting Flame makes it so that you can still be tanky and deal a lot of damage, and that's what's led to the success in our playtest more than people doing a really good job managing their Magma Rush. So but Magma Rush also just does give you a lot of sustain in lane if you're doing it well. So
and then next up for aspects, Baron Samedi is getting an aspect which is a little bit more damage focused.
I played this in playtest today.
How'd you do?
We lost by a lot, but I think I did okay. It's a lot of fun. I think that it's fun to basically you get to throw your own Baron's Brew every 20 seconds, like it gets stacks back, and I think it's fun to weave your Baron's Brew into your kit more and more often. It's kind of almost like you have a fourth ability, or a fifth ability, because ultimate would be your fourth, so a fifth ability, and I think that also like it is just people have wanted to play Baron mid, like more damage Baron for a long time, and it hadn't worked very well with this version of Baron. So with this aspect, I think he will work very well in mid. And if you want to be a more damagey solo, I think it'll also work there.
Yeah, so you're trading a lot of Baron's utility effects for just more damage if you're consistently applying that hysteria over the cap.
Yep.
For game modes, let's talk about Conquest. Clumsy teased this, I believe, on the last show, but we've got some changes coming to Conquest. So the Titan will now cleave familiars, example, the Naga soldiers from the Crystalline Egg, and the Titan is also going to deal double damage versus familiars as well. And then secondly, the Gold Fury Gilded Strength buff, this is the one that you get on third Gold Fury kill, now correctly provides 25% increased bonus structure damage. It was doing 50% increased bonus structure damage. And a secondary change to that buff, it's no longer going to affect item procs as well.
Yeah. So this is, as we mentioned earlier, we want split pushing to be a viable strategy. One of the things with Smite 2 was like, there shouldn't just be one way to win the game. That's one of the reasons why we made Gold Fury's like fourth stack buff be, so strong, right? Like, but it was too good with certain tactics right now, especially when there was any sort of an imbalance in player skill level, right? So you should still be able to split push. You should still be able to do good damage to Phoenixes and even to Titans, right? But some of the more abusable parts of it should be less abusable now. And the Gilded Strength buff just giving you 25% too much damage was
a big deal.
A big deal. And I think that just like the fact that Nagas could tank the Titan completely made it too easy to end alone, right? Ideally, we would like there to be like two people ending or one person with the wave while the rest of the team is defending their own Titan kind of thing, right? Like it shouldn't just be like I missed a guy for 20 seconds and he was able to kill the Titan by himself. So anyway, we just wanted to specifically call this out because we didn't talk about this too much on Wednesday, that this should be a notable change to the split push style gameplay.
Yep. And we'll continue to keep an eye on it after the update goes live on Monday.
Yeah, a live service game is never done. We will continue to make it better and change things and see what we can do.
Yep. Moving on to God Balance, and one thing I want to call out, we have started, we're going to start putting the hotfix notes from previous hotfixes into the main patch notes, just in case players maybe are not paying attention to like the Steam update notes or social media. If you only get your news from the Smite 2 website, we want to make sure that we're communicating all that stuff and you're all the way up to date on things that have happened between major patches. So we've already talked about these hotfix notes. I'm not gonna go through them all, but they're in the main patch notes for those that may have missed them.
Yeah, and I think this was a good call. I forget who said we should start doing this. I want to say it was maybe Clumsy or maybe Pawn, but they were like, hey, people were like, why didn't we nerf Agni Aspect? And we're like, we already nerfed on Agni Aspect. You guys just didn't see it. So I think this was a good idea of like bringing our balance changes from the last hot fixes into the next patch notes. So
cool. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. I just noticed that chat may not be able to read that. So the stuff that is releasing on Monday, Athena is getting a buff, Ares is getting a buff, Hecate also getting buffed, Nemesis getting buffed, and Thanatos getting a buff as well. So just a handful. Clumsy mentioned it on the Wednesday show, but a little bit of a lighter patch balance-wise just because we've done a lot of sweeping changes over the past 3 updates. We want to kind of give the meta a little bit of time to settle in before we start revisiting things and doing major changes. So again, for item balance, you can see the notes from the hotfix in OB10 on May 23rd. But for stuff coming out on Monday, June 2nd, Blood-Soaked Shroud, which is the starter upgrade to Vampiric Shroud.
Yes,
is gonna
not
be getting a
Bloodbound
buff.
Book.
Yes.
Blood-Soaked Shroud.
We've got a lot of blood items, you know.
Yeah. You get Chuck involved again, and it's just everything's
I
blood and
know.
skulls. So.
Contagion, we're just noting a buff that's already been in live. Doom Orb, Death Metal are also getting buffs. Hide of the Nemean Lion is getting a nerf. The active,
Yes,
this is worded, so
Yes, I was going to specifically say
let's
this.
talk through it. Yeah.
Yes. So it was 100% effective against abilities. It's now 50% effective. So it's not adding additional reflect to abilities.
Yes.
Hide of the Nemean Lion has always reflected ability damage in SMITE 2, or at least for the last significant period of time. I maybe not always, but so this is a nerf to that part of it, not a buff. So.
Cool. And then last up for items, Serrated Edge, Stone of Binding, and Tekokaki also getting some buffs.
Yep.
And then just a few bug fixes before we close out our patch notes segment. Quality of life, the totem buff VFX now placed on the ground around the Phoenix instead of hovering above. So as you're walking into the Phoenix, you're going to see if it's buffed by the totem.
Every day in playtest, we're like, oh, we got to fix this.
Yeah.
Oh, we got to fix this. I'm glad we finally fixed it. So there's a few things like this that we, just have to get to.
Yep.
So I'm glad we did this one today.
For gods, Susana, we've made adjustments to his basic attack timing and sounds to better line up with his actual hit. We did a change for this for Thor in a previous hotfix, and I think Pon mentioned Susana was on his list as well, but that will be in the Monday update. And then last for bug fixes, Brawler's Ruin now correctly only provides the buff on your god kills and assists. So issue with that.
Yeah, it was always funny. You're like running out of base and like somebody got a solo kill. And it's like, why do I have this effect on me? So not great, but it should be fixed. So.
Sweet. Well, that wraps it up for our OB11 patch notes overview. If you're just now joining us or joining us a little bit late, patch notes are live on smite2.com if you want to go through them at your own leisure.
Yeah, and patch will be live on Monday morning.
Yep, I believe maintenance will start at 7 a.m., our usual. Couple hours of downtime, so definitely looking forward to Open Beta 11 hitting SMITE 2. Scylla, new Wandering Market.
Scylla's a big one. Wandering Market's a big one. It's it's maybe less balance than we've had in some recent patches, but there's still just a ton to engage with.
Yeah.
And then for people that maybe are wondering why no Scylla aspect, the current plan is that Scylla will get an aspect in the next update.
Yes.
We just I don't know if it was that we didn't have time to get it done or we didn't like the way the design was going or didn't have a good idea at the time or something, but they have something they're working on now that they're pretty happy with. So hopefully that'll be in the next update.
Nice. Sweet. Well, we're about halfway through the show, Kilgoon, so why don't we save the back half of the show and let's get into some community Q&A. If you got any feedback, got any bug reports that you want to pass along to us, I will bring up my notepad and take them down.
Yep. I don't know if the Wandering Market frame is done yet. That was also the same person that was working on the Arcane Ape, Carter, was also working on the frame. So maybe not.
I'll bring up the client and see.
Yeah, and then there's also a question about the Guan Yu skin, which we definitely can show because that was fixed. It was T-posing on Monday or Wednesday, whenever we had a show. Weird week with the holiday, but yeah. There was a question: are my new responsibilities going to prevent me from being on Titan Talk as regularly? I will say I will do everything in my power to still be on the show 3 times a week. I think this is a very important thing that we do, and being close to the community is what has led us to be as successful as we have been. And it will be the path to even more success. So I don't want to. But
I've got the Easter egg.
Oh, you got it? Yeah, it's good, right?
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
sorry, you just started smiling. I was like, what the hell is going on? So, yeah, I plan to be on the show 3 times a week whenever possible. I'm going to take some vacation at some point. I'm probably not going to be on the show. If there's a very big fire that I need to deal with, I may not be on the show that day, right? But by and large, I should be on the show 3 days a week still.
Yeah. The Wandering Market card effects is not done yet.
Alas.
Unfortunately.
But maybe we can show the Grim Wraith.
Yes, I'm in Dev, so let me make sure I'm on the right screen before I pull up the laptop. Yeah, I loaded Dev because I figured that'd have a better chance for the card effects being done. There we go. And I will bring up So, yep, Wraith Rider Guan Yu.
Yep. It is a cool looking skin, and it's a cross-gen skin. So if you owned it in Smite 1, you'll get it in Smite 2. And if you don't, you can buy it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that was it.
Cool. Let's see. Chat's going fast today. It is hard to keep up. 7 unbuilt objects, Isaiah. Yes, this is part of dev. There's stuff that isn't quite done perfectly. Let's see. What's good questions here? Will Titan cleave Danza clones? Yes, any familiars. So Nuwa minions, Danza clones, anything like that. So that should be different now.
Saw a question, how big will the God roadmap be after Ganesha? I think we're probably going to go in 2s.
I think it's probably
around
just
there. Yeah.
better and safer for, making sure that the community has some idea of what's coming, but we're not going too far out to where plans can change. I think like right now, kind of as we talked about previously, we've pivoted to focus more on bringing over classic gods that we think would be a good addition to the roster and maybe have a little bit more impact than doing all new gods. We do still have some all new gods that are making a little bit of progress in the background, but we aren't like committed to ship dates on them because we feel like, again, there's more things that we can do to make the core game better and retain new players better that are more important than bringing over all new gods right now. Yeah. At some point, those priorities will change though, right? It's a large part of anybody who is in a leadership position at any company, right? There's always more stuff that you want to do than you can get done. Doesn't matter how big your company is, there's always more that you want to do than you can get done. And you have to prioritize what are the things that are most important for the product right now. So that's what we always try and do. And that's one of the reasons why we're like, maybe it's better to do 2 gods at a time rather than the longer roadmaps, because it'll let us be a little bit more flexible if we're like, oh, maybe we should prioritize a slightly easier god here so that we can get this other thing done that we think is more important to the game right now. Why were mastery numbers removed from God Select? I think that's a bug.
Yeah, I poked the UI team about this, and they were looking into it. I'm not sure if it's going to be fixed for this upcoming update. Okay. But
I
know it's still got the progress circles, but the numbers on God Select aren't there.
So we'll have to get that fixed. Apologies for that. With the core gameplay in a good spot, how are you moving forward with new player onboarding? Tutorials take a lot of work, but have you thought of adding basic Conquest role-based videos or similar? We've had thoughts around that, I will say. There were videos that played when you launched into Smite 2 for the first time that kind of explained what Smite 2 was and then what Conquest was when you played Conquest for the first time. We found that this is maybe a weird thing, but the numbers do not lie. At the end of the day, the metrics will tell you if when I do this thing, 10% of players do Y, and when I don't do this thing, 15% of players do Y, then I should not do this thing. And these are not real numbers, right? But we found that more players kept playing if we didn't show them videos. So we stopped showing them the automatic videos that we had at the time, right? That doesn't mean that like videos are 100% a bad idea, but just the way that we had implemented it, it did not keep players around better. We have found that having our current tutorials does lead to players sticking around and playing more, but they could be better and they could do even more, of course, right? I saw somebody earlier saying, I'd love to be able to go back and play the tutorials. You can. If you go in the queue screen all the way to the bottom, you can click on the Arena tutorial or the Conquest tutorial, and you can see what those look like. And yeah, I think interactive tutorials would be more effective than video tutorials. Sure, like that's why we have these playable tutorials. And I will say, like, most in any game, your biggest new player drop off, right, is going to be right at the very beginning of their experience. So that's the room that you have the most area to make an improvement on. By improving that first impression and making sure that they're having fun in the very beginning of the game. So a lot of the things that people very frequently bring up about, like, oh, I want people to be onboarded to Conquest better or to move into ranked better or all this stuff, right? That's like so far further down the player journey that I'll worry about that when we get to it, kind of thing, right? Like, we need to make sure that people are having an amazing time in their first hour playing the game, which is going to be arena matches versus bots 99 times out of 100, right? Because that's what and we have tested sending people to other modes than arena, and they, again, numbers don't lie. You're going to keep playing the game a whole lot less if we send you to any mode other than arena to start your journey. So it's making sure that the initial player experience playing playing arena against bots is great, will lead to more people playing Conquest in the long run, because they'll have stuck around, they'll have understood how to play the game and the fun in the core combat of the game, and then they'll be like, what's this other mode? And then we can teach them more about Conquest when we get to it. When will we be seeing more ranked Conquest bans? I do actually know that this is something that that Clumsy was looking into, along with Danny, one of our UI programmers. Danny is, I believe, sick right now, though. So I'm not sure if it's going to be in. It's not going to be in this next update for Monday. But that is something that they're looking into, a way to potentially add more bans. Again, like, we want to make sure we're prioritizing features that address initial impressions, core gameplay experience, the first few minutes of your gameplay, but where we can do things to make the game better for people that play a ton, we're going to do that where it makes sense, right? And potentially adding another ranked ban on each side might be a way to a relatively easy way for us to improve your experience. So it's something we have been talking about. Man, chat is rolling today.
Anything to share on the movement changes? I think the team is still cooking on those. Nothing to share. Since our last test that we did in live.
Yeah, I think we're to be transparent, it's moved a little bit to the back burner as we prioritize more of these, like, core gameplay, new player impression things, because in part because, again, the metrics don't lie. When we switched to this new movement system, it didn't make any noticeable change to the game. So again, like, it's something that we could put more time into to make it, like, better and continue to move down that route. But if the progress that we made already didn't do anything, then it's probably not the best place for us to be putting our dev time right now. People are asking about the trees, because I brought up the trees and I should never mention the trees. We're still talking about environment art things. I'm not sure if the trees are going to be the priority or if we're going to move and prioritize other things. We do want to make sure that, again, the game looks good and gives you a good first impression when you load into the game. We're having those discussions right now, and I can't give you a firm environment art update, but that is a conversation that I'm continuing to have with the team. I will answer this joke question, but it's I think it's important. Does this mean that I can greenlight Smite Cart now? I think this is probably a clumsy Smurf account. But I theoretically, yes. However, it would be irresponsible of me, right? Because, again, my job is to prioritize the things that have the most likely impact on improving the number of people playing the game and having a great time, right? And Smite Cart would be a completely different left turn of why the hell are they doing this, right? When there's so much that we could and should be doing on the core game. I'd love to get to the point where we can do Smite Cart at some point. Don't get me wrong. But like, it's just, how do we need to prioritize the things that will make the most difference. And Smite Cart, as fun as it is, will at most make a couple days difference for our core players who are like, that's fun. I played a couple races. Now I'm going back to, I think another way of looking at this is like, I know most of the people in chat right now are not Fortniters, right? But Fortnite added this whole big like racing mode that they put a lot of work into, right? That they had like some of the Rocket League guys working on, I think, and like, it hasn't really done anything for them, right? Like some of their other modes have done very well, but I think the racing one has fallen off really, really hard, right? And I think that shows that even if you spend a lot of effort making a good racing game inside a game that's not a racing game, people that want to play a racing game are going to go play a racing game, right? Like F1 25 came out today. Like people are going to go play that if they want to play an F1 game, right? I'm going to play
Forza Horizon.
Yeah, Forza Horizon, or I'm gonna boot up Burnout 3 because I'm a boomer. You're gonna play the game that is the best at doing the thing that you want to do. And us making a kart game in Smite is never going to be the best kart game that you can possibly play. If we can think of other fun modes that we can do that tie more directly into the Smite core experience, I think that those are more likely to be, again, once we get through a lot of this core gameplay stuff, I think those are much more likely to make it on the calendar than Smite Cart, as much fun as I personally had with Smite Cart. I just know that, like, are we going to win by making Smite Cart? As much fun as I love, as much fun as it would be, I just don't know if it's the thing. So anyway, Clumsy says, yes, we will win with Smite Cart. Pom says, big rigs over the road racing is my go-to, which is a classic. Have you, I am obsessed with speed running. I don't know if this is a thing that you care about at all.
Every so often.
It's so interesting to me. And I love there's this guy Summoning Salt that makes like these like deep dive videos on the history of speed running games. And he did one on, it's not really a racing game, but I didn't remember what it's called, the Simpsons GTA game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's just like the stuff that like they have discovered in that game. Anyway, sorry. Different hit and run. Thank you, chat. Really good video if you're interested in like the weird tech that evolves over the years and like how people get so obsessed with these games and like it's like almost always I feel like in these videos too, like the most difficult trick is at the very end of the run. And it's like the number of runs that just fail in the last 30 seconds. It's like, oh my God. Anyway, sorry for the complete side angle here. How's the engine upgrade going? It's going really well, actually. I think
play tested it yesterday.
Yeah, we're very close, I think, to where we're going to be able to ship that out to folks. I think we'll probably flash test it sometime after this next update comes out. I can't say for sure if it's like next week or week after next, but we're very close to where 5.5 could go live. So I think that should again, performance improvements don't always affect everyone equally. But I do believe, that it will improve things for some people. And the guy who's doing the engine upgrade is also just kind of like looking at and thinking about more of like the PSO caching stuff, because almost the vast majority of the performance issues that we see are still PSO caching that are, I will say, abnormal frame rate issues. So we're continuing to look at performance. Performance is another thing that is kind of on our to-do list that we believe will make an improvement for your first impression. Yeah. So it's something that is something that will be more likely to be prioritized. But it can be very speculative because it's hard to know how much progress you're going to make on performance. So if we have to decide between, I can definitely get, just something we talked about earlier today, it's not the same person, but just, for the sake of the discussion, I can definitely get directional damage indicators in the next 2 weeks. I might be able to improve frame rates for 5% of players by 2 frames. It's like, how do you prioritize those things, right? And that's why it's always like we want to make sure we're focused on performance and we aren't ignoring it. But that's why it's like hard sometimes to be like speculative work versus I know I will ship this thing. So you do have to prioritize speculative work at times, but it's just hard to make sure that you're doing it at the right level. Is there one that you want to answer? I feel like I've been talking so much.
No, you're
today.
good. You're good. I can take this just because I know the answer to it, and you can chime in. Have any of the previous crossover partners been approached to see if they would agree to a relatively simple contract extension / addendum to bring the content over to SMITE 2? I will say no. Crossover stuff is just incredibly hard and time consuming.
Yes.
While all that content is so amazing, I would love for some of the crossovers from SMITE 1 to come to SMITE 2. Where we're at right now as the studio and what our priorities are, we're currently not looking into any crossovers for the near-term future right now. That's not to say that down the line, once we get, the core game feeling good, the new player experience feeling good, that we could revisit crossovers, but not right now.
Yeah, it's you always stack rank your priorities, right? What's the most important thing in the game right now? And once the game will retain new players better, then you have the privilege of saying, hey, let's go do something with this cool brand that's going to get new people into the game so that they'll actually stick around. I will put an end to this as best as I can, and it will keep coming up, I'm sure. There's this kind of constant chatter in the community about some impending buyout and that we're going to be sold at some point to somebody in the near future. I have heard nothing about this. I would expect that I would have heard something about this if it was happening. Doesn't mean that there's absolutely zero chance of it happening, but I would put it at a near zero chance of that happening. If we were going to be sold, the time to be sold was 4 years ago, not now, just because from a business perspective. So I don't think it's a realistic thing that y'all should be thinking too much about. And I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah. I've seen a couple of people ask one thing. We talked about this a long time ago, and I had a note to follow up with somebody, and I don't know if I ever got a response, but a couple of the god titles, Yamoja and Baron, maybe switching god / goddess to Orisha or Loa, respectively.
Yeah.
I think that's well, I don't want to say anything as a fairly simple change, but
it would be it would not be difficult to do. The question is more of a design call if they think it is something that we should do. And in instances like this, I will defer to what design thinks that we should do. And I'm not going to mandate that we change it because some chatters think that it would be a good thing to change. Sometimes chatters have really good ideas, and I'm like, we should do that, right? But this is more of a judgment thing where it's some people like the current titles. Some people will probably upset if we change them. But it would be more lore accurate. So I could see it going either way.
Yeah.
Whatever design wants to do, I'm okay with.
Let's see here. We're not going to spoil any first letters of any upcoming gods.
Pawn says, I only heard I can do whatever I want.
Oh, there you go.
Pretty close to it, yeah. Are we upgrading to UE 5.5? Yes, that is the upgrade that we've been working on that we'll be playtesting in a couple weeks here. Are there any plans to be involved in Atlanta DreamHack in a few months? We've been part of the DreamHacks in the past. Not for several years, though, and no current plans to be involved.
I'll probably go, and I'll have some codes with me, and I'll probably just tweet and say, hey, come find me if you want some SMITE 2 codes, but nothing in, an official capacity. But I love DreamHack. It's such a fun...
It's a good event.
Fun event.
Yeah, I've always wanted to, I've only been, working it. Or I went, one day once, but I've always kind of wanted to do, the LAN and just, I don't really have the opportunity.
You one of those? You want to sleep down there?
I would. I think that would be the fun, right? Yeah. It's it takes me back to when I was in high school, having LAN parties at my friend's house, which
so much
it's
fun.
Probably not even something that like high schoolers do anymore, I would guess,
Yeah,
because
they
there's just
hop
the internet,
online, yeah.
right? Like, but it used to be like there were a lot of games that the experience of playing them online was not very good. So everybody would like carry their big ass tower over to their and their CRT monitor, because we
Yep.
didn't have LCDs back then, like over to their friend's house, and we would
yeah.
like, dude, I
Lots
remember
of Halo 2 in my friend's basement.
Halo 2 is a good one. We played a ton of like Serious Sam and like yeah, man, those were the days. Anyway, when will we be able to edit the control settings for Xbox? You can edit those now. If you go into your settings, you can remap every button on your controller. So you have more settings than you did previously. My old head is showing. Yes, I am old. I apologize. It'll happen to you too, though. Please put Ravana in Smite 2. Noted.
Eventually.
Yeah. There was a recent patch that screwed up cloth physics for a handful of characters like Hecate and Artemis. Is there a time frame you can tell us when this will be addressed? I did message this to the art team, and they were going to take a look at it. I haven't heard back, and I didn't follow up, but I can ask.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. There's a chance that it could have been like some attempts at performance improvements that broke it, or you never know. But I'll see if we can track that down.
Has there been any news about the artist who made the Aphrodite fan art cutesy icon? I haven't heard any news about any of those yet. I know that was something that was on the team's list. Basically, for the cutesy avatar chest that got added to Smite 2, we didn't add those fan art icons just because we want to hunt down those old contracts before we add something to Smite 2, just to make sure that, we're handling and respecting the artist the way we should. And I believe the idea was that we were going to try and find all those contracts and do it all at once rather than try and do one by one by one by one, just because it's easier to handle everything at the same time. But I know that's something that's on the team's list. Don't have an update on that yet, but we will continue to see what we can do there.
Yep. Any plans to bring back some different ward types? That's something that we've discussed. I don't have like a firm ETA on it, but it's definitely something that we could be interested in. I think that there were some benefits to some of those word types. I think that, there are pros and cons to everything. I think that also there's like, this is just me riffing here. Please do not take this as what we are doing. But I think there's also potential to like integrate some of them more into the jungle and jungle objectives, right? Like if, we do already have eyes of the not eyes of the gods, eyes of the something.
Is it Eye of Providence?
No. You pick it up you kill the scorpion camp. And you pick it up.
Eye of the Jungle.
Eye of the Jungle.
Yeah.
It's just Eye of the Jungle? Oh, my God. I was like, it's got to be something else. Where, you push the button and it shows where everybody on the map is, right? And, like, theoretically, you could make so that you could get a Raven ward from one of the camps. Or you could make it so, I think that, like, the problems with some of those other ward types is that, like, if there are too many of them on the map, it can cause some weirdness, in my opinion. But if there was a way to get them out there that was more limited, I would be more okay with them personally. But again, I'm not the designer. What Pompon and Clumsy think is best for the word types, I'm going to listen to their judgment on that like 99 times out of 100. So
yeah, someone in chat saying Raven Ward. I love the Raven Ward in Smite 1. It's so good.
What was the one that like slowed people?
Gosh, I forget
that
what
one
the
was
name
fun.
of it was.
The trap ward I liked. Because then I would actually like buy wards in
Was
Arena.
it called the Proximity Ward?
Proximity Ward.
There you go.
Clumsy said we should get a Smite cart board. Clumsy actually really wants Smite cart teleport effects.
Yeah.
That's his new journey.
Chat is moving today.
Chat is moving. Yeah. Sorry. It's like by the time I'm halfway through reading one question, another one pops up, and it's difficult to keep pace.
I saw it, and I missed the exact question, but it was something along the lines of, do we have any plans, or can we look into making it easier to add friends? And I know the social experience as a whole is something that's kind of towards the top of our priority list, right?
Yeah, it's something that we definitely need to do more work on. I think that it's gotten better, but it's not perfect. There should be like a recently played with tab in that social tab that should show you people that you recently played with. That's easy to add. It doesn't always work right.
Yeah.
I think you can also, I don't know if we ever added this, but something we were talking about was if you click on the 3 dots in the post game, you should be able to add somebody as a friend.
Okay.
I'm not sure if we added that, but that was something we had talked about doing. So yeah, we'll keep working to improve that.
Yeah.
You know, the Mulan propagandists are back in chat.
I see Clumsy in chat, so I'm sure he's taking notes quietly.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I would say, like, again, we definitely we have seen your feedback about Mulan. I do not have any immediate plans to change Mulan because she does seem to be doing largely well. And I know that we've gotten a few more people on your side that she needs buffs. At some point, maybe we'll come back to it, but like, she's not a goddess that we particularly feel needs a lot right now. Let's see. Sorry, I'm just.
And the questions are long.
They're
too,
long,
which makes it
hard, right? Because it keeps moving. There was one that was like, this is a short one, so it was easier for me to read. Sorry, I'm like I said, moving fast today. Any plans on marketing? I will say that like we are starting to get to a place where we're probably going to start running some experiments with advertising. We have implemented a basically like, it's useless to run ads unless you have a way of attributing like what ads led to people playing the game, and then post backing to the ad networks to tell them this person started playing the game, right? And you don't know necessarily exactly who the person is, but basically just like they can use this information to build out targeting profiles so that ads are shown to people who are likely to actually play the game. This is the way that digital marketing works. This is the way that every website is advertising to you right now. And we're done-ish with implementing our kind of ad attribution solution. So very soon we'll probably start running some ads as tests, probably very small budget at the beginning just to kind of get things started and understand what's working and make sure the pipeline's set up. But again, like, we need to make sure that we're focusing on improving new player retention, so that running ads and paying for people to come in, they actually stick around and play the game. Let's see. What about a Sherpa program for experienced players helping newer players?
We've
talked about this before. I think that the problem with this that we're kind of trying to solve is that if we don't want to drag experienced players into new player matches, and we don't want to drag new players into experienced player matches because it's just gonna be a bad time for both sides, right? And so then you're basically saying you're signing up to play bots with this person, and even then we've seen that like in bot matches where there's a really good player and there's a really bad player, like very frequently the good player just like face rolls all the bots and the new player's like, cool, I didn't do anything, you know? So I think it's like, we like the idea of people playing together and learning from, you know, experienced players and all that, but we're just trying to still think through the details of like, how can we do that in a way that isn't a bad experience, which it kind of feels like it would lead towards.
Yeah. This is a funny one. Have y'all ever considered adding a permanent ward item? Well, we had one a long time ago, and we removed that just based off of community feedback, right?
Yep. Yeah, we had. I think that what he's saying is like, you're meaning like the ward button that was just part of SMITE at the beginning. Yeah. So it's just like you got a new ward every so often. It was great, but I think the other angle that people are like is, if I place a ward, it just lasts forever.
Yeah.
I think League of Legends vision wards or the sentry wards work that way. You can see them, but if they're clear, they stay until they're clear, kind of thing. So it's another angle that we could go.
Let's see here. Lots of questions about any news on the new God selection screen. We've talked about that being on our list. Not anytime soon.
Yeah, not an immediate thing. Definitely something that is further down the road. I think that like the next out of game UI feature that's kind of bigger that you're likely to see will be a reworked queue screen. If our current plans continue. And again, all this is subject to change, guys. Like, we could decide something else is a bigger priority and pivot off of that, but we're already making some progress on the reworked queue screen. So I would assume that that's the next out of game UI improvement, because again, the queue screen is one of the first things that players interact with. Experienced players don't like interacting with it right now because it's not very good. And it's even worse for new players, because for new players, you go to it, you have this really long list of stuff. You can't see what anything is until you mouse over it. And then when you do mouse over it, there's too much information for you to really want to process. And you can't find the AI queues because they're down at the bottom. And most of the screen is focused on the custom games. And you really don't want to play custom games. And the fact that there aren't that many custom games, is this a dead game? There's just like so much wrong with the queue screen. That's an easy, not easy, but that is a clear area for improvement of a screen that you experience in your initial hour of playing the game.
Cool. Well, Kilgun, we are past 2 o'clock.
Oh, we are.
So it's time for one more question. And I'll do a quick Alani check. I've got cherry twist today.
So apparently the Alani's moved in our fridge and I didn't see them.
Missed it.
So I grabbed a Monster Energy Zero Ultra. I was going to say Plus Ultra.
Because My Hero Academia.
But no, it is a Monster Energy Zero Ultra, which is fine. I drink those sometimes.
Let's see. I will find a good question.
I'm cheating on Alani. That's a funny one. I'm a traitor. Wow. Everybody's just like killing me on this.
I've seen it. Let's talk about other game mode talk. Just because I've seen it in chat from a few different people. So any ideas or plans or thoughts on adding other game modes from SMITE 1 to SMITE 2, or maybe even potentially all new game modes into SMITE 2?
So there's multiple things that go into a new game mode. I see people saying Slash and Siege already, right? I have played a lot of Slash and Siege and Clash in my career. I love those game modes. But let's go back to kind of where I started this with what our priorities need to be, right? Our priorities need to be things that improve the core experience for new players right now, right? And so I feel like adding additional game modes like that right now is not the thing that's going to move that metric in a meaningful way, because you're not going to you're not going to play Clash in your first hour of playing the game, right? Most of the time. Similarly, making new environment maps is currently a tremendous undertaking. This is like, I don't know if I can or should say the number, but Rogue Company outsourced a lot of their maps. They had an outsourced studio in, I'm going to say China, but it might have been anywhere. And a new map was like, this maybe isn't the exact number, but this is just the number in my head. I want to say a new map was like $500,000, which is pretty expensive. And that's doing it at a pretty affordable way of doing it. Because there's a lot of people that need to work on it for a long period of time, right? Whenever you're doing the math on a feature, it's basically like, how many people are working on this for how long, right? And it's a lot of people for a long period of time to art out a map, because there's so many bespoke art assets, right? I think we're having the discussion right now of just like, are there better, more efficient ways to approach environment art, which is kind of why I was cagey about the trees question earlier, because I think that like maybe there are some improvements we can make to our process there that could make it so that we could more quickly get new environments. But that's just a huge hurdle for us right now, where, I mean, like, just doing this, the Joust map was we had a much larger internal environment art team at that time, and it was like 5 months of dedicated work from a pretty large environment art team. So it's a lot of work to get a new environment art set in. So again, focus isn't really, it's not really the thing that we're focused on right now. It's a lot of work to do it. And I would say in terms of game modes that are maybe more doable for the short term, and short term could be like 6 months from now, right? I'm not saying this is something that's happening tomorrow, right? But I think I have seen a number of requests for ranked joust. There's a lot of risks with having ranked joust as a queue, but I think that's something that we can at least talk about internally if there is a way to have something to serve that player base. It was always a very small actual player base in Smite 1, which is partly why I'm worried about bringing it over to Smite 2, because it wasn't actually that popular. But it is something that keeps coming up. And again, if it's something that can serve that hardcore audience and we can do it relatively easily, it might be something that gets prioritized and put on the calendar. Mm-hmm. The other thing that I personally have I still have in the back of my head, but again, this isn't going to be a top priority because it's not, again, speculative, doesn't immediately impact new players, probably not going to rise to the top of the priority pool. But I have had this pet project of like a turbo Conquest in my head for 2 years now, which I still think could be a good addition to the game, but is probably not going to be anytime soon. But I would expect that either of those would likely come before a Clash/Siege just because of the environment artwork needed. And if we're doing environment art right now, I would rather spend it doing things that improve your initial experience, which is like improving the arena map or improving the Conquest map. Because I think that's where we would get more bang for our buck right now. I have to answer a question still, don't I? Let's see. I kind of want to pick like a more fun question to wrap it up today.
This is for me specifically.
Okay, do it.
What's my favorite Gundam? I don't know. I really like Unicorn.
Okay.
It's a really good one. Barbatros that you mentioned in chat is really sick too.
I don't know the names of any Gundam, but I love them. I think they look so cool. Like I'm not that deep into the Gundam fandom to have a favorite. So that's pretty cool. I will answer this one. This is a fun one. And it is weekend plans, exclamation point, question mark.
There you go.
It is my wedding anniversary this weekend. So my wife and I got a babysitter for the first time in forever. And we're going to spend like 3 hours away from our kids. And I'm very much looking forward to just spend a little bit of time with my wife.
Yeah. Well, congrats.
Which I love my kids, don't get me wrong. But it would be nice to like have a meal with my wife, just the two of us. Yeah. So that will be very nice. What about you? Any fun weekends?
So I'm in the process of moving, so that's probably going to be my weekend.
Yeah, that will be a lot.
It's a lot. It takes a long time.
I thought you were done moving. I guess there's a little more.
Not yet. Yeah, it's a long process.
All right.
I had some stuff in storage. It's a whole thing. But
Yep.
We'll get through it. Sweet. Well, Kilgoon, thanks so much for joining us on the show. Chat, thanks so much for hanging out. Reminder: Open Beta 11 does go live on Monday. So if you're looking forward to Scylla or the new Wandering Market, be sure to log into Smite 2 on June 2nd. Servers will come down around 7 a.m. with probably about an hour or so of maintenance downtime before we get the update out in you all's hands. But until then, we will see you all on the battleground. Hope everyone has a great weekend, and catch you later. Peace.